Hi guys, it's me, Sue7972. Welcome to the Katima XP show, and today I want to talk about Mission Impossible Fallout. Oh my gosh, I just came back from the movie house with my wife, and we were just blown away. This movie is literally how a modern action macho film should be done. You know, that's how it should be done, and all action movies should be based on this, really, in the modern times. It felt like a 90s action movie for the 21st century, and it was just so good. Tom Cruise at his best. This movie is, to summarize it, it's equivalent to two Mission Impossible movies. Yeah, there's so much action to the point that I was just so tired at the end of the movie. Even towards, let's say, 3/4 of the movie, I was already just so tired, but the action just keeps going, and there's just everything from boats to cars, motorcycle chase, car chase, helicopter chase, Tom Cruise chase. I mean, he runs in this movie, and it was just so amazing. Basically, I'm gonna do a quick review of what I think about it. No spoilers, don't worry, I'm not gonna say any spoilers, but I want you to know that this movie is, if you love action scenes, if you have any ounce of love for Mission Impossible, wow, this sequel, just, I don't even know how they're going to match this sequel in the future. This is just so good, and it's got everything about Mission Impossible. Now, the thing about this, before you go into this movie and before you go watch it, I have to tell you off the bat that this is a hard sequel. What does that mean? Is that a hard sequel means you need to understand a lot about the previous movie in order to understand the sequel. So basically, if you haven't watched Mission Impossible 5, you will not understand a lot of what's going on in Mission Impossible 6, which is very unique because usually Mission Impossible does soft sequels. What that means is that it does follow as a sequel, but it also stands on its own in a way. So I highly recommend you watch Mission Impossible 5 first before you go on to watch this, because if you did not watch 5, you're going to be left a little bit clueless because all the bad guys come back. The previous bad guys from there, he makes a comeback, and it all just comes together. It's just wonderful. So just go watch MI5 first, and because even for me, when I was watching this movie, Mission Impossible Fallout, I had to really, at the same time, while watching the movie and getting my mind blown, at the back of my head, I was trying to remember what was going on in part 5 again. And I was just trying to multitask my brain, which doesn't usually work when I'm throwing popcorn in my face without people judging me, So, yeah. So basically what the movie's all about, it's Mission Impossible, a big, bad, organized crime, has plutonium. They plan to use it as a nuclear detonator, and they want to blow it up and destroy the world because they think that the world needs to change. And it's just so smart how Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise, and his team, they're all there. Simon Pegg's there. Luther, I don't remember the actor's name, he's there. Let me just look at the cast real quick. Yeah, Rebecca Ferguson is badass in this one. If you think she was so badass in Mission Impossible 5, she just takes it to the next level. Surprisingly, Michelle Monaghan, Julia, the ex-wife of Ethan, makes a really, really good comeback here, and she plays a minor role but an important role in letting Ethan Hunt know that what he's doing is good and that he doesn't have to really hold on to her anymore. No spoilers, just it concludes her arc in a way. I don't know if we'll see her again, but this goes to show that it gives us a peace of mind of what's going on with Ethan Hunt's ex-wife from, I think, Mission Impossible 3, which was also, I think, now I used to say that was the best, but now this one just, I don't know, it takes it to a whole new level. What I really liked about the movie is, of course, Henry Cavill. I've been saying, like, I have never seen him outside of Superman, and when I saw him in Uncle, he just kept playing those same good guy, clean look roles. And now to see him as this brute, this big guy, this bouncer out there, was pretty good. I think he really played his character very, very well. And to see him in a different character outside of Superman really says, yeah, you know what? That brings a lot of range into him, and say he can pull it off. Of course, the whole movie, I just kept focusing on his mustache. because that was the mustache, which, according to a lot of people, is the one that actually ruined DC. So I was saying, so that's the mustache that he couldn't shave off. But yeah, he played it well. I liked it. He was big. He was really big, and he had his fair share of action scenes in the movie. And a lot of good things about this. Another thing that I liked was that it really focused the action in just one place at the time. A whole chunk of a movie would be in one place the whole time, which focuses just around Ethan Hunt as well. And unlike previous Mission Impossibles, where a lot of things are going on, they travel here, they go there, and it gets a little choppy at times. But this one is, they really focus a lot on one place. There were a couple of places, but then it just a huge chunk is focused on one place at a time. I really liked Sean Harris making a comeback. Solomon Lane, he was the main bad guy from MI5, and this is the first time that a previous bad guy makes a comeback like this and does it well. And I think that it's just amazing how devious he actually is. Like I said, there are a lot of fight scenes. There are more fight scenes in this movie than gun scenes. And I have to say, there are also a lot of chase scenes. And these chase scenes are done to the point that I felt like I was tired. Even like halfway to the movie, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of car scenes and chase scenes. And but it holds up, and it's just great to watch. At the end of the movie, I just put the popcorn down, just started watching. My wife was grabbing my shirt left and right. It's like, oh my gosh, there's just so much action in this movie, in a good way. Okay, in a good way. I mean, like, if you watched Mad Max and thought that was a lot of action, this movie just, oh my god, just when you thought it was over, at the end part, it's like, oh my gosh, there's just still so much more. And you're just left exhausted at the end of the movie. One thing I will say is that the movie is very smart. There's a lot of double crossing. There's a lot of smart ways to fool bad guys and bad guys fooling good guys, and how you trick each other. It's just so smart that the way it's presented, that an average viewer doesn't have to think much. You just say, oh my gosh, I can't believe they pulled that off. I thought that, the bad guys were going to win this time, or the good guys were going to win this time, but then I got it all wrong. The movie just twists itself around, and how they managed to really become smart. It's just smart spies running around, and a lot of less gadgets than I'd like to. I like to have seen more gadgets in this movie, but this movie really was more focused on action. And if you watch the trailer and saw, Henry Cavill doing this ready to fight thing, it holds up. That, for me, I personally think that small scene, very short scene, I thought it should have been dragged on even further. I thought it held up, and that was one of the best action scenes. I was moving my head left and right already. Of course, fighting against an Asian dude, and Asian dudes, they hold up. They kick that Asian dude kicked Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise asses all over that bathroom floor. But it held up, and it was just so good. Rebecca Ferguson really has reprised her role here, and I think that she'll be really well known. Ilsa Faust, that's her name, and how she blends in and how they're intertwined. Her mission is intertwined with Ethan Hunt's. Just takes it to the next level. No mushy romance, so that's a good thing. It's really more serious. This is probably the most serious Mission Impossible since Mission Impossible 2, which was John Woo's, which everybody thinks is the worst Mission Impossible ever, but it is what it is. And I think that this movie is so serious. What I did not like about the movie at the end was the comedy kind of felt a little forced. There were some scenes like with Simon Pegg, or even some scenes with Henry Cavill, that I thought didn't need to be there, but they added it there anyways just to make it funny. And that's the signature of Mission Impossible, is that they add those humor in a serious situation. But this time in Mission Impossible 6, I thought it was just forced, and they can do without it. This is the most serious Mission Impossible I've ever watched, and you will not be disappointed. Just make sure you bring water. And this movie is long. How long is this movie? Hold on, let me check. The length of the movie. movie length. It's 2 hours and a half running time. You know, that is the longest, probably the longest Mission Impossible movie we've had. The Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol was 2 hours and 20 minutes. And the original Mission Impossible was just less than 2 hours. This one was 2 hours and a half. This was a long movie. And the action just keeps going. And you have to really focus on the scenes and really focus on the storyline, because it kind of gets confusing in the movie, because you could see Ethan Hunt really trying to think on the spot and trying to figure things out and becoming an agent or becoming someone else on the spot, and you have to try to catch that and what he's trying to do. I was a little confused at first, especially when he met the White Widow. White Widow was played by Vanessa Kirby, and she was freaky, but I think she really played her role very well. Big eyes, and she looks really serious, but at the same time she makes herself look fragile, but she's actually pretty deep in these whole organized crime circle. There's just so many new characters that play their roles so well, and as usual, this is a good movie, and I want you to watch it. If you love action movies, if you have enough time on your hands, it's a long movie, so prepare to invest and get comfy in your seats. And if you know Mission Impossible and if you like Tom Cruise, man, this movie gets an 8.5 out of 10 for me. And not a lot of movies get 8 or 8.5 even for me. And I think, like, you will definitely love it. For a Mission Impossible movie, this was very, very good for a Mission Impossible movie. If you're going to compare it with other action movies out there, it doesn't hold up against other action movies that I've seen, but it stays true to the Mission Impossible franchise. It has everything there. Like I said, this is a 90s movie. It felt like a 90s movie brought to the 21st century and made. It's a 90s movie made for the 21st century. That's all I'm saying. It's a 90s movie made for 2018, and it's old school, but at the same time, just amazing how they managed to put it together. So go ahead, guys, watch it. This has been my review. If you agree with me or disagree with me, comments down below. Like and subscribe. Let's talk about the movie down below. I'll try to get a spoilers review up soon. Bye, guys.